I am very, very pleased to have with me Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who most of you probably know as an actor from things like Third Rock from the Sun and Inception, and that really awesome episode of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, which was the best episode of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Deep in IMDb.
It's basically the first one. I had to go back. But you're here because you are now a CEO. You're CEO of something called HitRecord, which you really kind of sort of founded like 14 years ago. Talk to me a little bit. When you, in 2004, pulled up your giant computer with the huge tower and like massive screen, what were you doing?
Okay, well, the first thing is we weren't saying anything like CEO or startup or business or anything. That was just me and my brother having a good time a long time ago. It comes from like a time in my life when, you know, I've been an actor ever since I was 6 years old. And then I quit for a while to go to college. And then when I tried to get back into it, I couldn't get a part. And it was really, really painful. And I realized, okay, I have to be able to be creative on my own. I can't just wait around for someone to cast me. And HitRecord became this sort of symbol to me, this little turn of phrase I came up with, like, I want to push the record button, I want to do it. And I started, you know, teaching myself to edit, and I started making little videos and songs and stories.
Was anyone watching any of this?
No, it was just something I was doing out of pain. Out of pain for not getting parts as an actor. And but it feels good to make things. It feels really good. And so my brother helped me set up this little website. And like you said, this is in the early, you know, mid 2000s.
So this looks like an old kind of like GeoCities page or something. I'm thinking something like that.
At one time, it was a single page of HTML that I like typed up in Dreamweaver that my brother helped like put up on a server out of my dad's office.
That is still my technical competency, so I could probably recreate that. That's good.
But what happened was we put up this message board on the website, and slowly a community started to form on this message board. And what we noticed about these people who were coming is that while some people wanted to check out like the little videos and songs and stories that I was making, what a lot of people wanted to do was make things together. And make things together with each other, make things together with me. And we were like, now that's new. You couldn't have done that 5 years ago. Because there's something, you know, watching a video on the internet is not fundamentally different than watching TV or watching a movie. But using the internet to let people all around the world come together and make something in collaboration, that's kind of a giant leap forward, and felt like, oh, this is the promise of this technology. And so we thought that was really fun, but again, it wasn't a business, it was just a hobby and a fun thing we were doing for several years. And it grew gradually, and we just had a good time.
And you started getting jobs at some point too, so this was...
Eventually people did start casting me as an actor again, thankfully. But yeah, I kept doing it because I liked this community, and I liked how it would feel to make things together with people all over the world, even on this really small scale. But as it grew, I started thinking like, well, maybe we could do something more ambitious with this. And that's when my friend Jared, who's over there, and I launched it as a production company. And the idea was, okay, let's use this process that's going on this message board to do more ambitious things. And we made a list. What could we do? One day we could make a short film in this communal collaborative way that was like good enough to play at Sundance. Or one day we could make enough music to press vinyl. Or one day we could publish a book. Or one day maybe we could even make a TV show this way. And then over the next few years, we did all those things, and we came up with the right terms of service so that people could collaborate and build off of each other.
So talk about that. Okay, so how does this, for those who haven't been on the platform and haven't been on the site, historically, and I know things are about to change a little bit, but historically, how has this worked? So do you guys come up with the idea, you know, we want to make a music video about this or a film about this? Where does the idea come from? And then how do the collaborators collaborate? Because they don't know each other. It's not a bunch of people in a room who are kind of arguing over stuff. If I see something, think, oh, the lyrics should be that instead, or the color should be green and it's currently blue. How does it really work?
Yeah, so the first thing to say is I think to accomplish anything ambitious in this kind of decentralized collaborative way, you need leadership. You can't make it purely anarchy. What you get there is memes, which have their own merit, I suppose. But if you want to do something,
there are whole companies based on memes.
Indeed, but if you want to do something a little more ambitious, then you need to have leadership. So at first, the leader was always me. Then it was me and people in my office. And what we've been moving towards over the years is how can it not be us? How can we empower members of the community to take up those leadership roles? And that's what we announced today, like we're actually taking a really big step in that direction and evolving from the production company model into more of a collaborative media platform where it's less about me and my office leading projects and inviting people all over the world to collaboratively finish those projects. It's more about letting everybody and anybody come, start a project, contribute to someone else's, see it through to completion, and enjoy that experience together.
And one of the things about you guys is you potentially pay your contributors. If the thing is profitable, they get a cut, kind of a prorate cut. Who decides on how? I think it's you, right? And your team. Who decides on how much money I get compared to how much she gets for our contributions?
Yeah, so we have a whole process that we do. The idea is any profits get split in half go back to the company and half go to the contributing artists. And then when figuring out, okay, of the profits, who of the contributing artists gets what, we tried to figure out a formula that could code into an algorithm, etc. And look, maybe one day, with ML being what it is, that'll be possible. But every project is really different enough to where, it's something that humans have to decide. And so the way we do it is we put out proposals first. We go through everybody whose contribution is in the final deliverable, and we put out proposals and we say, okay, we think that all these people deserve these cuts. And we have software where everybody can comment on each line item. We have a 2-week period for feedback. Our community team responds to all of the comments so that we can be transparent about why everybody's getting what they're getting. And then after that 2-week period of feedback, we finalize the splits and we send out the money. You
said to me in preparation for this that you understand the entertainment part better than the tech part, but you just said ML in a sentence and didn't flinch. So I think you're getting there. So with that, so as you said, today you guys are changing a bit. You announced funding for the first time, $6.5 million, a Series A for like a decade-old company. Why you took money from Silicon Valley? Why did you go there and not just raise? And I don't even mean locally, geographically, but kind of from the Hollywood folks that you probably could have raised money from.
Yeah, sure. So the history is that at first, when we first launched it as a production company in 2010, I funded it. Then we've been cash flow positive since 2013. So we never needed to raise outside capital. But if we wanted to take this step past being a production company and into being a more horizontally organized platform, we knew that we needed better technology. I don't come from the world of technology. My 2 co-founders are a producer and a designer. They don't come from the world of technology. Plus building technology is expensive. So we knew we needed capital, and we knew, maybe even as important, we needed guidance. And so that's why, to answer your question, we went to Silicon Valley. We raised money from a really great group of tech investors, Javelin Ventures, Crosslink Capital, and Advanced Capital, and some really wonderful angels that have also provided some incredible guidance. David Rogier, the co-founder of, David Rogier, the co-founder of Masterclass, Kevin Lin, the co-founder of Twitch, Steve Chen, the co-founder of YouTube. So in this, we managed to not only gather up enough money to take this next step and build the tech we wanted to build, but also surround ourselves with people who know a lot more than we do.
Are you worried at all? There's an interview with you, and the quote is, "I didn't do this to make bank." You now have venture capital. You said this.
You're a reporter.
Lied.
You should know that.
I'm telling you.
Maybe I didn't say that.
Maybe you didn't say that. It was a deep fake quote. But you do have venture capital investment. Do you have any concern that you're now going to have financial metrics? You're going to have to build this into something that they can recognize as a return, as opposed to it's your own money, it's your own passion project. If it makes lots of money, great. If it doesn't, so long as it doesn't bankrupt me, fine.
Sure. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a legitimate concern. But I also felt like our mission actually is aligned with good business, because our target is not just quote unquote creatives. I still resist the fact that people use that word as a noun. It's not right. It's an adjective, creative. Anyway, we're not just aiming for creatives who are trying to break into creative industries. Our target is everybody who has that feeling inside them, who wants to be creative, whether it's an accountant who likes to write, or like a stay-at-home parent who likes to play music. I think it's a human universal. People want to be creative. But what we've learned from doing this for 10 years as a production company, being creative alone is hard. And when you open up the process and make it collaborative, it gets a lot easier for a lot of people. So our mission is to bring that experience of creativity through the collaborative process that we've learned and honed how to do over the years, and bring that to as many people as possible.
When you say
that's a big market. So
how do you do that? I mean, is it mostly, it's not really mouth, but word of mouth, quote, digital word of mouth, or how do you get that message out? How do you grow your base? How have you historically?
Well, how we have historically is when we do these amazing projects, people want to get involved. Like recently, the rapper Logic used the platform to lead the world in a collaborative creative process to make a song. And we documented the whole process, and we're going to release a special on YouTube Originals. And so when Logic says, hey, everybody, come make a song, I'm leading a song, lots of people want to come. Yeah. That's more the production company model. What we foresee is, again, creativity is more fun when you're doing it with other people. And this is something that a lot of other media tech platforms don't really offer. A lot of, democratizing distribution the way that, the big dominant platforms have is a wonderful step. But you still, when you're posting something on these big platforms, you have to post something that you made on your own. And it doesn't help put you together with other people. And so you might be staring at a blank page and saying, like, I know I want to make something, I know I want to write something, but what? I don't know. What we've found is we can put people together, and that really helps. And so I think that eventually what will evangelize the platform is people saying, like, I've got an idea for a story, and I'm going to ask my 6 friends to come help.
How much is, you, since you started this at the very beginning, a long time ago, the internet has changed a lot since then. And there was toxicity on the internet in 2004 and before that, but it's obviously expanded much. Can you just talk a little bit to the idea that what you guys are trying to do, and I don't mean kind of, all hold hands positive, but create something that theoretically other people are going to enjoy, create something for the sake of creating, because even though you are paying people, nobody, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, nobody's getting rich as a I don't want to say as a creator, because that's close to being a creative, as a person on HitRecord. Can you just talk a little bit about that, kind of what you're trying to engender online, which isn't something that really is so much online right now?
Yeah, I think it goes to incentives. The people who come to HitRecord, what they want to do is have a collaborative, creative experience with other people. They like being a part of a process where they can make something, they can see it get finished, that feels satisfying and it feels meaningful. And then you're interacting with people based on, like, we have a common goal, we're trying to make something. A lot of other platforms, their incentives are more get attention for yourself, because their business models run on the attention economy. And so everyone's incentivized to just like, get more attention for myself, so it becomes competitive and it becomes hostile. And I think the incentives that a lot of these that a lot of the dominant platforms sort of steer people into, it's not surprising when you think it through that we end up with a lot of hostility and toxicity. There's a really wonderful book about this called 10 Arguments to Delete Your Social Media Accounts Right Now by Jaron Lanier. And I know it's a blunt title, but he actually thinks through with extreme, I think, out-of-the-box, beautiful thinking, exactly how the business model centered around an attention economy creates the kind of behavior you're talking about.
Which I get. I wonder though, as somebody who is an actor, and I assume you pay attention to the box office of the films you do, so there's one thing to say, okay, I got X number of clicks and therefore that creates that much money for me. There's also I got this many clicks, which means this many people wanted to see what I had to say, wanted to see what I created. I assume you feel, if nobody goes to see one of your movies, I assume there's some disappointment in that. How do you balance those two things? The interest in the being, in your case, say being on set, and the actual creative process and the making of the thing, and then not necessarily the money piece of it coming in, but the attention that it does get, the attention economy, not for monetization, maybe it's for validation or just because you made something, you want people to see it.
Sure, I mean, look, I'd be lying if I said that it's irrelevant to me, the attention that I get. I think it's a very basic, primal, animal thing to want attention. It only makes sense. Our, wild ancestors roaming around the savannah, if they got more attention, they were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. It's a basic instinct. We want attention. I want attention. I'm an actor. I like attention. But if I'm honest, those moments of like, oh, the box office did well, or oh, I'm on a red carpet and everyone's looking at me, like, for me personally, have not been the greatest moments of joy in my life. The greatest moments of joy for me are when I'm on a set with the other people that I'm working with, the director and the other cast and everybody, and we're working it through and we're figuring it out and we're rehearsing and something doesn't work, but we find a solution. Like, those are the moments where I get a lot of real fulfillment. And so I want to try to build like a media platform that's more focused on that part of the experience.
How do you, and let's go back to the funding a little bit since I cover these sorts of things, and we discussed this a bit backstage. So you go to Silicon Valley, you get meetings set up, you set up meetings. Can you talk to me a bit about when you walk into these, how you approach them, given that people, you're not you're an unknown entrepreneur as an entrepreneur, but people know who you are. Are you getting the meeting because you're Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Do you also think I'm getting the meeting and they're not going to take me seriously because I'm Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Walk me through that a little bit when you walked Sand Hill Road and places like that in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's a wash. I think I did enjoy some advantage having the career that I've had as an actor in getting into rooms. But then, yeah, you mentioned it. I also faced skepticism for being an actor, and that's probably fair. But that skepticism usually went away pretty quickly because I wasn't just an actor with a new idea. I would come in and say, so we've been doing this for 9 years. We've been cash flow positive for 5 years. We've paid our community $2.7 million. We won an Emmy. And people start to say, oh, okay, so you're really doing this. And then we would get down to business.
I wonder, there's somebody mentioned this to me yesterday, so I want to ask you about this. We're in a tech crowd, a digital crowd. There's a company, and I don't know if CEO's here right now, but that has created basically it's an influencer right now for Instagram, but in theory, there's no reason why I couldn't become an actor in a film or a television show. You are a human actor, and by the way, the argument that somebody made to me yesterday was, yeah, he's a good actor, but if they want to make a sequel, what if something happens to him? How do they do that? Digital character, make 50 sequels, always look the same. Where is, CGI is one thing, but where do you think we are going in terms of somebody who, breathes and talks and eats being on screen as opposed to a digital, just like we have dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, making those the people on screen?
Yeah, I think it's probably closer than I'm comfortable thinking about and other people that, have my job. Look, but I think this actually gets to what I was talking about. I think probably pretty soon, I don't know how soon, decades or whether it's 1 decade or 4 decades or whatever, machine learning algorithms will be able to optimize for whether it's clicks or box office or awards or whatever and generate content of whatever kind that is more effective than humans at moving the needle in whatever metrics they're optimizing for. But that's not all the value of creativity. Fine, the blockbusters are made by machine learning algorithms, cool, but that doesn't mean that we can't tell stories because the subjective experience and the meaningful fulfillment that we humans get from telling stories with each other, from making music with each other, from being creative together, that's not something that any product can really provide you. You have to find other humans and do it together.
I started this by saying you're a CEO. Can you walk me through just quickly the mechanics of that in the sense of you do have another job sometimes. You might be on a set for a month, but you're the CEO of a startup with a team and a growing team and investors. How do you balance that? And really, how do you balance that? And how did you convince investors that you're the CEO of a startup when you do have another job?
Yeah, and that was a question that every single investor asked. And I was always walking into rooms with my co-founder, Jared Geller, who's a very dear friend of mine, and who's an incredibly smart, hardworking, capable person, and who knows me very well, and I know him very well. And so what we've always done with HitRecord is we are a team. He and I are a team. We're sort of a CEO and a half. And sometimes I'm on a set, and he's the one that's in there every day, all day. And right now I'm in LA, so I'm in the office every day. Between the two of us, we have it covered.
I'm curious. One of the relatively more recent films you did was the Snowden movie. Did that, do you think, give you more cred in Silicon Valley because he is a technologist, and that's a topic that interests folks up there?
Yes, I think, and actually that's how I got into. I mentioned Jaron Lanier a second ago. I started reading Jaron Lanier's books because I was playing Edward Snowden. Jaron Lanier has written all sorts of really interesting things about the internet and technology and what it's doing to humanity. I've started reading his book while I was playing Snowden, and I was able to get in touch with him and say, like, hey, I played Snowden. Can I talk to you about your amazing books? And I was able to sit down with him, and he's become a really great friend and mentor. And unexpected, lovely consequence there.
Next movie project, what is it for you?
Well, let's see. I shot a movie last year called 7500. It's a little art movie, and if you like little art movies, you might like it.
And final question for you. You had very small bit roles, one of which you were not recognizable. So 2 big franchises. I want to know which was more important to you. You were in a Star Wars movie and in a Muppets production. Star Wars or Muppets, which is more dear to your heart?
Well, the reason that Star Wars is so good is because of Jim Henson. So I say both.
Say both. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, thank you very much.
Thanks.